You're not under attack by force, you're being guided by emotions that aren't yours. It's not violence, it's precision. Not command, but calibration. The most advanced influence on Earth doesn't shout, it whispers straight into your instincts. Men across the world live under invisible persuasion, smiling as they surrender. This isn't about blaming women. It's about understanding a pattern so refined that you'll thank it for your obedience. You think you're choosing. You're not. Your decisions, preferences, even your freedom are being gently rearranged by emotional code written in affection's disguise. It never begins with conflict. It begins with comfort. What looks like care is sometimes choreography. The tone of her voice, the softness of concern, the tilt of a smile, every signal, fine-tuned to teach your nervous system what earns warmth and what invites coldness. You respond like any human would, seeking peace, avoiding tension. But what if peace itself is the leash? Every sigh when you disagree, every shimmer of approval when you comply, those aren't accidents. They're feedback loops. You're not a fool. You're a participant in an emotional training program you didn't sign up for. She doesn't demand, she designs. While masculine control is obvious, feminine control hides in harmony. She never says, do this. She says, you'd probably want to, and suddenly you do. Compliance feels like choice. How can you fight what feels like your own idea? The oldest magic in persuasion starts with flattery. A sentence like, you always know what's best, sounds harmless until it's used to guide you. That validation lowers your guard. Then comes the suggestion. A wise man like you would understand why this matters. Now, refusing doesn't just deny the request, it denies your identity. You aren't resisting her, you're betraying the very praise that made you feel valued. The mind links reward to compliance. The ego becomes the handle. Every time you agree, dopamine floods your system. You're not obeying, you're confirming who you think you are. The manipulation is neurological, not moral. Flattery isn't affection, it's anesthesia for critical thought. Your sense of logic quietly trades seats with your craving to stay admired. You crave being the hero in her narrative, even if she wrote the script. Every man carries sacred titles: protector, provider, rational anchor. She spots which one you treasure most and turns it into leverage. A real man would handle this calmly. A caring partner would never get jealous. Do you hear the elegance? It's not insult, it's invitation to prove yourself. You become trapped by your own self-image. To maintain pride, you must obey the framing. Your strength becomes the lock, your ego the key. She doesn't attack masculinity, she recruits it. Culture helps, whispering that real men don't complain, but silence, mistaken for composure, is surrender in slow motion. You stay still while your sovereignty dissolves, applauded for being mature. Isn't it strange how virtue becomes the cage? The most potent manipulation isn't sexual, it's ethical. She frames her wants as goodness itself. If you say no, you're not wrong, you're uncaring. If you loved me, you'd understand. Now your morality turns inward, punishing you for dissent. You're no longer resisting her, you're resisting your conscience. That's the genius, she doesn't fight you. She lets your values do it. You want to stay decent, loyal, strong, so you surrender to remain who you believe yourself to be. The final stage, you begin enforcing the control yourself. You apologize preemptively, adjust automatically, anticipate emotionally. She never has to correct you, you do it. The most elegant prison is the one you decorate yourself. It never happens overnight. The process is patient, disguised as devotion. It begins with small favors, small sacrifices, each one rewarded by warmth. You feel seen, appreciated, loved. That feeling becomes addictive. The brain learns quickly. Obedience equals comfort. Resistance equals distance. Soon, every decision you make revolves around avoiding emotional withdrawal. That's not partnership, that's programming. She doesn't raise her voice, she raises your emotional stakes. Her affection becomes a rationed drug, and you chase the next hit of validation. You start to justify her behavior. She's just sensitive, I should be more understanding. But deep down, you know something's off. Your freedom is fading, one compromise at a time. The worst part? You call it love. Every manipulator needs one tool above all: credibility. Months or years of kindness create that trust. You open the gates willingly, believing you're safe. Then, subtle direction begins. Small suggestions wrapped in care. You stop questioning motives because she'd never hurt me. That's when the real programming starts. The voice you once admired becomes the compass for your choices. Eventually, you think with her words, not your own. Her perspective becomes your default software. What began as intimacy becomes infiltration. Your autonomy quietly trades places with dependency. Fear is manipulation's oldest servant. She doesn't threaten, she implies. The story about the friend whose partner ruined everything. The cool distance after you disagree. Your subconscious hears what she never says aloud. Behave or lose love. And what's more terrifying than loss of affection? You begin self-censoring. You monitor tone, timing, even opinions. You're no longer protecting her, you're protecting your access to peace. Guilt seals the deal. After all I've done for you. That's not pain, that's programming. The guilt rewrites your moral code until disagreement feels like betrayal. She doesn't need chains. You forged them yourself. When fear governs love, freedom becomes treason. Before you even react, she's already written your script. You're not the jealous type, right? You'll understand when I explain. That's predictive framing influence before conflict. By the time the event happens, your response has been pre-approved. You're trapped in the logic she provided. She's the author. You're the character repeating pre-written lines. Even your doubts sound like her reassurance. This isn't psychic control, it's emotional foresight. She establishes context, and context controls perception. Compliments are the quietest narcotic. When she praises your intelligence, your strength, your sensitivity, your brain relaxes. Critical thought powers down. Validation feels divine. And while you're basking in admiration, suggestion slips in. You always know what's right, so you'll see why I'm doing this. The exchange is never equal. You give action, she gives affirmation. You pay with compliance for every compliment you receive. And slowly, your self-image morphs into her invention. You become addicted to the version of you that she approves of. Every person has weak spots, insecurities, fears, unhealed places. She studies yours, not out of malice, but instinct. If you fear abandonment, she hints at distance. If you need respect, she controls the source of praise. Her words become emotional keys turning hidden locks. Each phrase, each gesture, calibrated for reaction. Soon, she doesn't need to ask. Your emotions move automatically. You think you're deciding, she's already decided which emotion you'll feel. Whoever controls your emotions controls your direction. Control rarely looks violent. It wears the smile of peace, the tone of love. The agreement feels mutual, but the outcome is pre-designed. She doesn't pull you, she lets you walk yourself into compliance. Every discussion feels collaborative, every decision shared, but it's theatre, and the ending was scripted before the curtain rose. The illusion of equality keeps resistance asleep. You're voting in an election where the results were printed yesterday. It's not tyranny, it's choreography. Awareness is antidote. When you name the pattern, you sever its power. Recognition turns shadows into outlines. You start seeing where strings are pulled. The key isn't aggression, it's observation. The moment you stop reacting, the manipulation loses oxygen. Stay calm. Stay centered. Let logic breathe again. When emotion floods, pause. Ask, who benefits from this feeling? That single question can break an entire system of control. Real love doesn't require scripts or tests. It allows disagreement without punishment, difference without distance. You don't need to abandon relationships. You need to abandon dependency. Detach from her validation, not from her presence. Freedom begins the moment approval stops being your drug. Every phrase carries code. A caring partner would. A strong man doesn't. These aren't statements, they're commands dressed as compliments. She connects identity to behavior. To stay good, you must comply. To remain understanding, you must accept. Language, like software, defines function. Once you identify the pattern, you can debug it. Start replacing her frames with your own. When she says, "A loving man would," respond internally. A loving man also protects his boundaries. That's not argument, that's reprogramming. Society trains men to stay silent. Be calm. Be reasonable. Be the rock. But silence is not strength, it's submission in costume. You're told that anger is weakness, that standing up is toxic, yet compliance dressed as virtue serves everyone but you. The culture has rewritten masculinity to be controllable. Your stoicism is used against you. Your patience becomes paralysis. To reclaim your center, you must redefine strength. It's not in suppression, it's in awareness. It's not in endurance, it's in clarity. Over the next week, don't react, record. Notice every surge of guilt, fear, or flattery. Write what triggered it. Track the words, tone, timing. Awareness turns manipulation into data. Data becomes understanding. Understanding becomes control. When you can observe emotion without obeying it, you're free. She can still try, but her levers no longer move you. That's sovereignty. That's peace born from clarity. Gentlemen, this isn't a war between men and women. It's a war between consciousness and conditioning. Many who manipulate don't even know they're doing it. They're repeating what they've seen, rewarded by culture and emotion. Your awareness doesn't make you paranoid, it makes you prepared. Once you see the matrix, you can't be moved by it. Love doesn't demand blindness, it thrives in awareness. Stay alert, stay grounded. Real love doesn't need to control, it chooses freely every day. If this resonated with you, hit like and help more minds awaken here on Winds of Thought. Your awareness might be the light that frees someone else.